Hi, I'm Coach Christine Clark. Thank you for watching Forging a Life and plugging into another video. I have had countless conversations over the last several weeks, people wanting to know what's my niche? How do I separate myself from everybody else? How do I know that I'm doing what I'm meant to be doing? And there is so much huge energy in this, huge, because we think it's momentous. We want to know this is who I am, and I want to have this thing that when people see that, they think of me, and when they hear this tagline, they'll think of me. And we want to make sure we get all the customers we can. We want to have that big, strong magnet, and we want to be visible. And really, it just kind of blows up, and people are agonizing over what is their thing, what separates them from the pack. And it doesn't have to be hard. When people are trying to figure this out, one, they are wanting to have the most clients possible. We want to serve everybody. We want to attract everybody. We want to have this business identity that is going to carry us forward into our future. And we want to be known for this thing. And so we get kind of wound up looking at how do I separate myself from everybody else. And we start looking, so many people start looking at how other people are doing it. How do other people decide this is how you're going to do it? How do other people, in chiropractic, if you've seen chiropractors everywhere, almost every single chiropractor has some version of the vertebrae in their logo. It's like, obviously, that's a main piece of chiropractic work. But if you really wanted to separate yourself from all the other chiropractors, you might consider not having something that looks like a vertebrae in your logo. Just saying. But we look at what everybody else is doing and think, oh, they're successful, we want to do that. And it actually dilutes and gets in the way of us finding who we are, how we're going to stand out. And then we get wound up. People are kind of freaking out about, how do I define my niche, my brand? I work with people through is what I call origin story branding. And what I know about you is that whatever the thing is that you're doing in business, you have come to this over a period of time. And if you think back to your absolute earliest, youngest stages, something in your childhood where there were hints about doing what you're doing now, something that you said, something that was intriguing to you, something that was really fun. If you go back and look through your memories to find out indicators of what you're doing now, you can plug into that origin. And with that origin, there was something that drew you forward, something that specifically excited you or caught your attention or meant something to you. You got to see something that just like, oh, yeah. And when you pull out those pieces, you're going to find out why you're here, why you're doing this. And if you're like me, like so many of us are, the journey has been very long and very circuitous. And you didn't get to where you were without having to go over here and over here and over this and under that and through this. But all of those things that you experienced honed you, provided you knowledge, skill, perspective, resiliency to be able to do what you're doing now really, really, really well. So not only is it a passion, you have a particular skill set. And when you look at all those pieces, it's your story. Nobody else got to where you are the same way. Even in an industry where there's lots and lots and lots of people doing the same thing, your story is your thumbprint. your uniqueness. It's that separation from everybody else. And then the next piece, once you walk through that, then you can look at who are you serving and who is your ideal person. And there's two pieces, two reasons for this. One is because when you can hone into a single avatar, your ideal client that will lift you up, that will let you express all of your gifts and talents and serve them in a way that they could never possibly believe that they were served before. When you have that ideal client in your mind, you're going to laser focus on the magnet to draw people to you. Also, it's a piece in, this is who I want to work with, this is how I want to work with them, and that's also part of your identity, part of your branding. So I want to walk you just briefly through the origin story process. First of all, just think back to your childhood, your growing up years, and look for those pieces of memory that flicked that said, oh, you know, when I went to the zoo and I saw the porpoises were playing in the water going shoo, shoo, shoo. And I looked at the water and how the water flowed over the body so that they could cut through the water so easily. And I had this idea. It's like I was intrigued by the geometry and the water flow more so than the porpoises. And if somebody was listening to a 12-year-old talk about that, they're thinking, kid, you're cracked up. But that 12-year-old grew up and became an engineer and will learn and is a leader in the wind turbine industry now. But that's how it happened. So go back to your childhood and think of those bits and pieces. I am a life coach. I was one of the people that the friends would always come to and talk to. People would tell me anything. But for me, that was part of my journey, is that I was somebody who could listen and created somehow organically a safe space. I also went through 25 years in direct sales while managing my husband's business. We were a dual entrepreneur household. And so when I started getting into coaching for myself to untie my own knots, it lit me on fire. I started learning this stuff and I started talking and coaching the people around me, whether they wanted it or not. And then the idea says, hey, I think I want to do this. I think I want to do this. And I chose to leap into coaching. And there's a whole story, but that's for another time. What I know is my experience is in entrepreneurship. I was in direct sales where everything is provided. The product, the marketing, the materials, the pamphlets, the brochures, the how-to, it's all there. And my husband, knife maker, sword maker, forging a life, based on the creation of the katana, Japanese style sword blade. He was a very niche market. He is world renowned for the Japanese style sword blade made out of L6 steel. Two very different companies, very different businesses. And yet we had the same struggles, the same up and down. And I knew this. It's like business and the personal blocks that we run through, the mental, emotional stuff that gets in the way. Most of us know everything we need to know to really run a good business, to thrive and to excel. But we get in the way. Our head gets in the way. Our fears get in the way. Worrying about other people think get in the way. Sometimes the person we're hooked up with gets in the way. Those relationships that can make or break the business. And so my niche as a life coach is entrepreneurship, because that's what I know. For you, What is it that you know, like you know, like you know? Use that. What knowledge, what skill, what experiences have you had that help you specifically relate to somebody? And what does that look like for your business? So that's a taste of the origin story training. The second thing that will help you figure out your niche and your brand is knowing your avatar. Knowing that singular person that you're going to serve. We naturally want to have the broadest audience possible. We want everybody to come to us for our thing. But the truth is, when you try and touch everything and include all of it, you spread out and you spread out and you spread out because you're trying to have this magnificent wide reach, and your message and who you are and what you can do gets watered down and watered down and watered down. And it's like, I got weak Kool-Aid. When I was in Girl Scouts, we had a thing called bug juice. I think they took a packet of Kool-Aid and put it in a gallon jug and shook it up. It was like, it was colored water. Not very appealing. So you want to not do that. And the way you don't do that is by deciding who your perfect client, customer is. Right down to how old they are, what they look like, what their life experience is, how many kids do they have, where do they live, and what is their deepest desire and want and need that you can answer. And when you narrow it down, and then everything you do is toward that person, you market to that person, you talk to that person, and when you do that, you narrow your message. You don't need to talk about everybody at the grocery store if your person buys from the convenience store. So you talk convenience store to that person. If your person works in an office building, in a cubicle, talk to that person, the person in the office building that works in a cubicle, if that's who you're serving. If you're serving CEOs, talk to the CEO who is all alone in their office at the top of the building, and everything rests on them. What are they experiencing? What are their challenges? What are their thoughts? What are they trying to balance? Get it? The more you can envision and create this personification of your client, then you do everything to serve that client. And the cool thing about that is you take your message and you bring it in and you bring it in and you focus it, and it becomes a laser. It's so powerful and it's so bright that it's going to attract the people that are your best fit. And because your message is powerful enough, because what you're putting out there, what you're saying, what you're sharing, what you're doing, other people are going to hear the bits and pieces that click with them. They may not be your central person, but they're going to hear, and they're going to draw in and draw in and draw in and draw in, and you're going to get more and more people. That's how you attract. And when you have this person that you're serving, and you know how you want to serve them, then it's like, how do you do that? Do you meet with them one-on-one? Do you come to them in their office? Are you in front of a huge group and in front of a crowd? Are you on the internet? Are you doing emails? Are you doing phone calls? Do they have to see, feel, touch? How do they experience? And then, how do you go about doing those things? What is fun for you? What is fun for you? What do you enjoy most about bringing what you do, your service, your thing, to the people, and then do that. Because if you're having fun and you're talking to the people who are your people, you have branded yourself. And then it's just a matter of looking at it. Okay, this is my story. This is how I got there. In my story are some significant pieces about what makes me unique in this field. These are the people that I love most, and this is why. I love working with elderly people because my mother was in gerontology and she served elder people, and I got to see but people that had such a history and such a rich knowledge that I wanted to work with them. That could be you. And that's how it works. And then you put the two and two together, you'll have your identity, you'll have that thumbprint that makes what you do, how you do it, your business, your thing, the thing. And it naturally, authentically separates you from the pack. Guaranteed. I am Coach Christine Clark. Thank you for listening today. You can find me on my website at sunglowtransformation.com. I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, all at Coach Christine Clark and at sunglowtransformation.com. Till next time, keep hammering away. This is forging your life.